Okay, today I want to look at another attribute of God. Norman Geisler in his book puts majesty and beauty as being like twin attributes of God together, and then he contrasts that with what's called ineffability. And so God is majestic and regal and kingly, and we look at him and we're drawn to that, and we have pleasure and delight, which is beauty. We see the beauty in his majesty and his regality, his regalness. And so in that there's a sense of beauty in it, being attracted to him. And there's a mystery here where also as majesty and beauty attract us to God, there's also a sense of what's called ineffability, where God is incapable of being truly expressed in human language. And this is the idea that God can be apprehended. And I don't mean with handcuffs. He can't be apprehended like arrested, but God can be apprehended in the mind, but never truly and fully comprehended. And what that means is that human language there's analogies, and we're learning good stuff about God, and they're pointing to God. They're pointing to a reality of God, and yet human being in our finite weakness is not able to express or to understand the extent of these things with God. And so we see this powerful majesty and this beauty, and we're drawn to these are real things about God, and yet at the same sense, our human language falls short. We're incapable of expressing and comprehending all that He is. So I want to read some verses here. The first one is in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may follow all the words of the law. Job chapter 11. Job chapter 11, verse 7. Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? They are higher than the heavens. What can you do? They are deeper than the depths of the grave. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth, wider than the sea. Okay, Psalm 139, verse 6. You hem me in, behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. And what are some other ones? Isaiah 55, verse 8. Let's go to another one here. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your ways. Higher than your thoughts. Romans 11. Romans 11, verse 33. Oh, the depths of the riches of the wisdom and the knowledge of God, how unsearchable his judgments and his paths beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord, or whoever has been his counselor? And in 1 Timothy 3:16 is talking about the mystery of Jesus coming down to us. Beyond all question, the mystery, the uncomprehensibleness of godliness is great. He appeared in a body, was vindicated by the Spirit, was seen by angels, was preached among the nations, was believed on in the world, and was taken up in glory. There are many mysterious things that we will not fully ever understand. And right now I want to talk about what's called the beatic vision. The beatic vision is that human beings have never seen God and have never will be able to fully understand and comprehend God. Beatific vision is the hope and the glory of all creatures. The first time we see the desire for this is in Exodus 33. The people of Israel have disobeyed God, and they've created an idol, a false God, and God is going to give mercy to Israel. But as Moses is talking, we see the hunger rising up in Moses that he wants to know the real God. Starting in verse 17. And the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing you have asked, because I'm pleased with you, and I know you by name. Then Moses said, now show me your glory. And the Lord said, I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I may have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But, he said, you cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live. And so the beatific vision is the beautiful vision that eventually the creature longs to see its creator, and Moses has this longing in his heart, and God says it's impossible. I want to go to the New Testament. Something is beginning to change, and we see something here in Jesus. This is in John chapter 1, verse 18. John 1:18 says, no one has ever seen God, but God, the one and only. In the Greek, that's the monogenes, God, the only begotten God, who is at the Father's side, has made him known. And so there's no one who has ever seen God except for Jesus himself, who has seen his Father face to face. In fact, he is in his Father's bosom. They're in an embrace, they are in an intimacy that no one else ever has known about. Let's keep going here. 1 John chapter 3. This is this desire in the human heart to see God and to know him fully. 1 John chapter 3, verse 2. Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when he appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Everyone who has this hope in him purifies himself just as he is pure. What we are going to become has not been made known to us, but when he appears, that's Jesus, we shall be like him. We shall see him face to face in all of his glory. Not just as a human being, we'll see Jesus in his glory. What about 1 Corinthians chapter 13? This is a very interesting verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, and when perfection comes, the imperfect disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. That's talking about the beatific vision, that I am going to be changed by Jesus. And I try to look at him now, but there's the sin, the fogginess of sin is preventing me from seeing Jesus as he is. But there will become a time when God will wipe away all the sin, all the cloudiness, all the illusion, all of the deception that sin brings, and I will be able to see Jesus as he is. In Revelation chapter 22. No longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and the Lamb will be its city, and his servants will serve him. They will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads. And so there's coming a time where we will be able to see God. We will be able to see the glory of God because of Jesus Christ, because we are in Jesus. We will not be protected from the glory that would destroy us, but now we will be able to behold it like looking at the sun without burning our eyeballs out. This is called the beatific vision. This is the hope of every Christian, that we would be able to see God and understand him fully. Now, when the Bible's talking about this, it means fully, the full capability of a human being to understand God without sin getting in the way, the fullest capability of a creature. But there are parts of God, or maybe not parts, but there's an extent of God, there's the infiniteness of God that we'll never be able to fully understand and grasp and comprehend any of these attributes of God. And the reason why is because God is not going to change us to become infinite like him. And so an analogy would be to take all of the Niagara Falls that happen in Ontario, and they're all of these gallons, these hundreds and thousands of gallons a second of water that are pouring down into Niagara Falls, and for me to go to the bottom with a giant funnel that's as wide as Niagara Falls, and it funnels down into a 350 milliliter water bottle. Human beings have a limited capacity for God. Even when we are in heaven someday, we will be maxed out, and we will be fully alive and fully able to take in as much as we're capable of taking in, but we will still have creaturely limitations. And so we need to even understand that Jesus on earth, because he is fully God and fully man, is able to know God even while on earth. The infiniteness of Jesus in his divine sonship is able to comprehend and apprehend and fully enjoy his Father in an infinite way, even while he's on earth, in a way that we will never be able to understand. But yet Jesus invites us as we come to Christ. Jesus says, "Remain in me and I will remain in you. If my spirit is in you, my Father and I, we will come and we will make our home in you." We, to the fullest capacity that a human being can understand and comprehend, God will give us himself, and nothing will stand in that way. And so this idea of ineffability, that God is incapable of being expressed, our understanding here on earth is so small. And someday when we are in heaven with the Lord, he will expand that. He will remove the sin's effect on our hearts and on our minds, and we will be able to understand more. But there will always be a sense where God is beyond. He's infinite. And all of infinity will be God expanding our capacity as creatures to know more and more and more about his goodness. And he will shower down upon us his mercies, and he will unveil to us more of who he is. We will be transformed more and more and more by being in the presence of God for all of infinity, for all of eternity.